Her mother cried when Amanda brought me home for the first time, but not in the way you hope a mother might cry. No joy, no warmth. Just disappointment, dressed in a pearl necklace and condescension. She didn't even hide it. "He's sweet," she told Amanda in front of me, squeezing my hand like I was a child in a waiting room. "But sweet doesn't pay for the view, darling." I laughed. Thought it was a joke. It wasn't. From that day on, I was labeled. Not by name. By worth. Not good enough. Not tall enough. Not refined enough. Not ambitious enough. I was a public school teacher with calloused hands and a quiet voice. A man who read history books at night and believed in showing up on time. Her father shook my hand like he was doing a charity outreach. Her sister, Rachel, sized me up with eyes that didn't blink, like she was trying to find the resale value stamped somewhere on the back of my neck. And Amanda? She always told me it didn't matter, that she loved me, that I made her feel seen. So I held on, despite the jabs at holidays, the whispers I wasn't meant to hear. "He looks like he shops at outlet stores. Is he seriously driving that old Subaru again?" I stayed. I figured love was a loud enough answer. It wasn't. When we got engaged, her family's enthusiasm felt like applause without sound. Her mom clutched her pearls and smiled with her teeth. "We'll take care of the wedding," she said, almost proudly. "You just bring yourself." I should have known better, because every vendor conversation suddenly got filtered through them. The venue? Country club her father played tennis at. The guest list? Nearly doubled with must-invite friends of her mother's. The flowers? Nothing cheap, her sister warned. No baby's breath. We're not throwing a garage sale. I watched it happen like a man sinking into soft mud. Every detail that was supposed to be ours turned into theirs. Amanda looked overwhelmed, but said it would all be worth it. "Let them have this," she whispered one night, her head on my chest. "They'll come around." They didn't. At our engagement dinner, her uncle leaned over to me, drunk off Cabernet, and asked how it felt to be marrying up. I laughed like it was nothing. But inside, something cracked. When the first invoices came in, Amanda's parents froze. The country club's quote had gone up. The decorator demanded a deposit. Her mother didn't blink, until the florist called asking where to send the $6,000 bill. That night, they invited us over for wine and a quick chat. I assumed, her mother said, folding her cashmere wrap tighter, that your family would be contributing as well. I looked at Amanda. She looked at the floor. "My dad's pension barely covers groceries," I said calmly. "And my mom's in assisted care. I told you that." Her father scoffed. "You're marrying into a legacy, son. You could at least show some pride." I nodded, thanked them for the wine, and left early. Amanda called me later. "They don't mean it," she said, barely above a whisper. They see the world differently. They see me as a burden," I replied. Silence. "I'm not," I said. More silence. A week later, we sat down at our dining table, lit by a flickering candle and surrounded by payment plans and estimates. Amanda held my hand. "I don't want their version of a wedding," she said. "I want ours." "You sure?" I asked. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I love you. That's all I'm sure of." I believed her. So I did something reckless. Something no one expected from the not good enough guy in the clearance rack suit. I called every vendor, every planner, every person attached to that day, and I told them to forward the final bills to me. I paid them. Quietly, cleanly, in full. My father's old life insurance policy, left untouched for a decade, just covered it. The rest came from savings I'd planned for our future home. Our children. Love, I told myself, is worth the cost. The wedding was beautiful, magazine-worthy. Amanda was radiant, and for once, her mother's mouth stayed shut. Until the bill came. 2 weeks after the honeymoon, her father called. I remember the exact words. "There must be a mistake. The invoices came in with your name listed as the sole payer." "No mistake," I said. "I covered it." A pause. "You what?" "I covered it," I repeated. "All of it. It was important to Amanda." Silence. He hung up. They never called again. Not for Christmas. Not for birthdays. Not for our first anniversary. But every one of those checks? Cashed. For a while, I believed that money had bought peace. Amanda and I moved into a modest apartment overlooking the river. Nothing flashy. Just ours. She cooked more. I stopped checking my email after 6 p.m. And on Sundays, we walked hand in hand without worrying about who might be watching. It felt like we were free. From her family. From their noise. from the idea that love needed permission or pedigree. But silence has a weight. And soon, I began to feel it pressing down. It started subtly. Amanda grew quieter at dinner, her eyes drifting off mid-conversation. She'd leave the room when her phone rang, then return with a forced smile and a different topic. I noticed, but I didn't push. Then came Thanksgiving. She told me her parents had invited her, not me, back to the family estate. Just her. It's nothing, she said. Just tradition. They're not ready for us yet. Us. Like we were some sort of scandal. Do they know you still wear my ring? I asked. She didn't answer. She went. Alone. I spent the day watching old war documentaries, chewing reheated chicken, trying not to imagine the long dinner table at her parents' place, the one I wasn't welcome at. I wondered what they said about me when I wasn't there. If they said anything at all. When she returned, her tone was clipped, almost rehearsed. They're just worried, she said. They think you made a big show with the wedding bill to prove something. I laughed. I did it because you said you didn't want their version of a wedding. They think it was a power move, she added, eyes on her phone. Did you tell them it wasn't? She didn't answer. Later that night, she told me her father had offered her a position at one of his investment firms. Entry level, of course, but the right kind of exposure. A chance to network. Her dream was interior design, but that dream hadn't paid the rent in months. I think I should take it, she said. You think you should re-enter the lion's den? I replied. She frowned. You always say things like that. Like I'm naive. I didn't say anything. I'd already learned that defending myself only sounded like defiance. She took the job. Weeks turned into months. She started staying later at work. Company dinners. Weekend retreats. Phrases like corporate culture and brand image slipped into her vocabulary like foreign objects. One night, I picked her up from a firm party. She was drunk, laughing in the back seat with a coworker I didn't recognize. Tall, polished, teeth too white. When she introduced me, the man extended his hand. So you're the guy who bought the wedding, huh? I froze. Amanda laughed like it was a harmless joke. I didn't. When we got home, she brushed it off. You're being sensitive, she said. That's just how they talk. They? I asked. People, she snapped. People who have ambition. People who don't measure everything by feelings. That stung more than I let on. Because I had ambition. I had dreams. I just didn't need a boardroom to validate them. I wanted a life built on something real. Something simple. Apparently, that wasn't enough anymore. By spring, I barely recognized the version of her that came home. Tailored suits. Expensive perfume. Smile sharp as glass. The warmth was still there, but it had migrated from her eyes to her Instagram captions. Her family had finally let me back in by erasing me. At her cousin's wedding, I was seated 3 rows back, next to the caterer's husband. Amanda sat at the head table. When I mentioned it, she said the seating had been arranged by her aunt. Don't make a thing out of it, she whispered. I nodded, said nothing, but inside, something hard and familiar was starting to grow. A seed I thought I'd buried after the wedding. The same seed they'd planted the first time they called me not good enough. Only now, it was Amanda watering it. A few nights later, I found the receipt, buried under takeout menus on the kitchen counter. A jewelry store. A necklace. $2,300. It wasn't my birthday. It wasn't hers. I flipped the paper over, confused, then checked the timestamp. 3 weeks ago. A Tuesday. I remembered that Tuesday. She said she was working late. Came home smelling like white wine and bergamot. I waited until she fell asleep. Then I opened her laptop. And that's when I saw the message. Not just a message. A thread. Dozens. Between her and someone named Colin. Her coworker. The one from the party. Photos. Flirty jabs. Long, breathy paragraphs about how he got her in ways I never could. How she felt trapped in comfort. How she missed the thrill. And then this, verbatim. He paid for everything. Even the wedding. Of course he did. That's what he's good for. The quiet, stable types always think money buys loyalty. My hands didn't shake. They clenched. I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I just sat there, staring at those words, letting them seep in like poison through cotton. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd sold the idea of me. To him. To her family. To herself. And they all bought it. But I still had the receipt. She stirred in her sleep as I closed the laptop, the faint rustle of sheets giving away the illusion of peace. I stood at the foot of our bed, watching her breathe, wondering how long it had been since any of this was real. 3 years. That's how long I'd been defending myself to a jury that had already decided my sentence. Her family, her friends, now even her. I didn't confront her that night. That would have been emotional, messy, predictable. Instead, I packed a bag the next morning, quietly. 2 suits, some cash, my documents, a flash drive with copies of everything I'd read. And then I made a call. The same guy who'd helped me pull off the wedding payments without anyone noticing. Marcus, my old roommate from college, now a financial advisor with connections deeper than most people's regrets. He owed me one, and I had a favor to cash in. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked. Quietly, patiently. While Amanda played dress-up with her new life, I built an exit so clean it didn't leave footprints. I sold my stake in the apartment, liquidated what little joint assets we had left, froze the shared credit cards, opened a new account under a different last name, one she didn't know I'd changed years ago for freelance work, the one where I kept the real money, the one her family never asked about. Funny how the not good enough guy ends up being the only one who actually saved anything. But that wasn't the moment I was waiting for. The moment came 2 Saturdays later. Her parents threw an anniversary gala, black tie, 5-course dinner, orchestral quartet, the kind of event where apologies taste like wine and every compliment hides a dagger. Amanda invited me. Or rather, told me I should come. Optics, she said. People needed to believe things were stable. The irony didn't even sting. So I went. I wore the same suit from our wedding, the one they all snickered at. But this time, I walked into that ballroom like a man who'd finally stopped begging to be seen. The night was smooth. Small talk, fake smiles, the occasional hand on the back that lingered too long. Amanda played her role perfectly, laughing at the right stories, clinking glasses at the right toasts. Until dessert. That's when the check came. A tradition, apparently. Her father's grand gesture, covering the cost of the gala in front of everyone to prove he still had teeth. He opened the leather folder, smiled politely, then paused. Longer than a man usually does. "Excuse me," he said to the waiter, voice clipped. "This says it's been paid." The waiter nodded. "Yes, sir. Cleared earlier this afternoon. Full amount. Paid via certified wire transfer." Amanda blinked. Her mother tilted her head, confused. "Paid by whom?" her father asked. The waiter turned, gestured toward me. "Mr. Bennett." All heads turned. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just raised my glass, like any polite guest would. Amanda's face turned to stone. After the gala, she cornered me in the parking lot, heels clicking like gunshots. "You're unbelievable," she hissed. "Why would you do that?" "Because it's what I'm good for, remember?" I said, leaning casually against the car. Her face paled. "What?" I pulled out my phone, opened the thread, handed it to her. She didn't even have to scroll. She knew what it was. What she wrote. "I didn't mean it," she whispered. "You wrote it." "I was just venting. He doesn't mean anything." I was angry. Lonely. No. I cut in, calm as ice. "You were honest. That's the part that hurts." She started to cry then, mascara sliding down the face I used to trace with my fingers. "I love you," she said, like it was a lifeboat. "No," I said again. "You loved what I covered. You loved being seen through me. But the moment I stopped buying your peace, you stopped offering it." She stepped closer. "Please, don't do this. We can fix it." I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out a white envelope. Inside were divorce papers and a photocopy of the wedding invoice, stamped paid in full. My name, in bold. Their names, nowhere. "They never called me again after the wedding," I said. "But they cashed the check." Amanda sobbed. I didn't. That was the moment I realized I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was just free. I turned, opened the car door, and paused. "You always said your family would come around," I said softly. They did. The moment they realized I was willing to pay to be accepted. She reached out. I shut the door. The engine hummed to life, a quiet, final sound. As I pulled away from the estate, the last place I ever tried to prove my worth, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel angry. I felt done. And sometimes, done is better than loved.